So Spud, I have an update for you.
Right.
From a previous thing we've talked about, and I've been holding this off since I heard about it. It's because it's getting to the point now where we're going, no, I'll leave it for the podcast. So I assume that our Discord chats are going to get less and less interesting because we'll be saving things for the podcast. But remember, we were talking about Talentstown and the ungodly amount of cancer.
Oh, the cancer. Yeah.
And we were going to wonder what it is. So my sister-in-law was round, and for some reason it came up in the conversation. I was the other side of the room, wasn't part of the conversation, but I kept an ear out. And they're saying, oh, it's amazing how Talentstown has all this kind of cancer or whatever, more than whatever. And the sister-in-law went, yeah, but sure, it was built on a fairy fort. What did he expect?
There you go. That's it, man.
There you go.
That's it.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's your answer.
Every town in Ireland has those legends of, there was friends of friends who, knocked over a fairy fort to plow it or plowed through it or something, and then sowed wheat or sugar beet or whatever on it, and then his luck turned to shit. All his children grew extra heads and died, of all the AIDS and.
But yeah, it's there's so much of that superstition. When we built the house here, there was a holly tree at the front and part of the site.
Yeah.
And there was an old house and everything, so that got knocked down. There was an old wall, all of this stuff, no problem. But no one had touched the holly tree, and it's still there. Because for some reason, that's terrible luck to remove a holly tree.
Is it? I never heard
I don't know. I think I'm not fully getting what the full story is, but it's like not just a holly tree. It's a holly tree in a particular place, or maybe it's a holly tree if someone died on the land. I don't know. There was some story. But it's at the front of the house.
Aye.
But there's also a fairy fort that they covered up down where I go walking there. When they built the bypass, there was a fairy hill.
Right.
And obviously pulled it apart and it's not there anymore. And, there's not considerable amount more of deaths on the bypass or, there's no kind of weirdness in there. So it mustn't be, maybe it wasn't a true fairy fort. It was just some sort of fake fairy fort. But you will see all the trees in the middle farmers' fields that they won't cut down.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It is mad, isn't it?
Well, it's also mad, I suppose, that mushrooms grow in circles. So that's interesting, and that the whole thing of the fairy kingdom is somewhat, I suppose, psychedelic, so there's obviously some sort of crossover between that. And then you have the idea of that if you eat something or drink something in the fairyland, that you don't come back, that they have power over you.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
that's how they get you. That's what it is.
Yeah, I just I don't even know if I've ever really been in one. I've seen them, but see, my only kind of knowledge about the fairy forts is kind of from Irish mythology. I don't know, like what you would know about the Fae, as they're called.
Yeah.
I don't know any of that stuff. I just know the Irish, not the Tuatha Dé Danann, the kind of that underworld.
Yeah, well, that thing is that your man went away, the Tiernan, isn't it?
Tiernan, yeah.
And he could be forever there and immortal, but as soon as his foot touched the land, that he became the old man. So it is that kind of time dilation thing that's definitely part of the thing. But again, that's also part of the UFO stuff as well. That all seems to have this crossover.
Yeah. Oh, I was telling you, I saw something yesterday.
Yeah.
It was mad, right? Because we were driving home, we went up to Bielsko, the closest city to me. Went up to meet some friends, another Irish fella and his Polish wife and their young lads. So we went up and spent the day together and whatever, hanging out, throwing snowballs at each other. And as we were coming home, we were leaving the city and driving towards where we live. And how to explain this now without sounding batshit crazy?
Well, come on, you're in the right place.
No, but as we were driving, there was a noticeable light in the sky. It wasn't a star; it was too bright. It wasn't an airplane because there was no green and red light. It was just this one kind of single kind of like a lamp light or a halogen kind of thing, something fairly strong.
Yeah.
And next thing, it was there and it was noticeable. I was like, okay, that's whatever. You don't even think it's just something in the sky. It's helicopters and airplanes, whatever it is. And next thing was gone. And I said, did you see that? I said, yeah, that was weird, wasn't it? Yeah, that was really weird. And so as we kept driving, then it would come back. And at first I thought it was clouds. I was driving like this, looking up, not paying attention to the road at all. What the fuck is this thing on? And it was cloudy, but it wasn't cloudy enough that where the thing had disappeared, it couldn't have been a cloud. So next thing it reappeared, I don't know, 10 or 15 seconds later, and it was like way further away, like miles and miles and miles and miles and miles and miles away in the same direction. It was kind of like from where I was driving. It was at say between 10 and 11 o'clock. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
And it was at that, and we were driving in that kind of. Let's say I was driving north the whole time, and it was at that kind of 10, 11 o'clock direction. Any time that I was driving north, because obviously it turns in the road or whatever. And then it was the same thing, and we were like, what the fuck is how could it be like? And Agnes went, maybe it's aliens. I think, well, you never know, it could be anything. I don't know.
You get super excited.
Like, it's possible, And so it kept doing this thing that it would be there, disappear, and it was further away, and then it would be there for a while, stop, or then disappear, and then it'd be really, really close to us, and then it was a bit higher, further away, a bit lower, closer. But it wasn't like there was that commander on Joe Rogan a while ago, the Navy guy, and he was talking about this thing moving left, right, up and down really quickly. And it wasn't. It was just it was close, and then it was far away. But it would disappear. It wouldn't fly.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was there, gone, and then the same area of the sky but higher. And it was just meant like when we got home, like if we didn't have kids and had to put them to bed and all, like we would have gone chasing it. We definitely would have gone.
Right. Like it was there the whole way home.
Yeah, all the way. And no, it's not a long drive. It's 25, 30 minutes at the most.
Right.
But it was definitely.
And it didn't hover over your house, or there wasn't dead, mutilated cows or anything like that.
No, because once we got into the town, then, Polish motorways are different than Irish motorways in that there's no cat's eyes, or there's only lights at junctions. Irish motorways, highways are, they're like fucking Christmas trees. Like everything is so lit up, you can see everything. Polish highways are very, very different. They only have lights at intersections, so it's dark and it's very, very easy to see anything that's in the sky. Like, but then once we got into the town, then it's too built up. You can't see anything. Right, but honestly, if we didn't have to put the kids to bed, like we'd have stayed in the car and we'd have drove in that direction to see what the fuck it was like. Because it was weird. Because like
I have to say, I'm doubting your commitment to the woo. That you're putting your kids to bed was the reason why you didn't chase a UFO. I mean, man.
Look, the moral of the story is don't have children because they ruin everything. But I don't know. Look, it could have been like. It could have been a helicopter, but the thing about it being a helicopter is the distance, the height, and what's the opposite of height? The lowness.
Lowness. What is it? Yeah, it has to be. The lack of height.
The lack of height was too.
The lack of elevation.
The lack of elevation was too big for it to, and it was done so quickly that it was just like, wow, that's bizarre.
And you would have heard it.
Which?
You would have heard it. If it was a helicopter.
It was a helicopter. No, it was too far away.
Oh, right, okay.
But like there is a big hospital close to me where they do have there is a helicopter pad on top, and they do the mountain rescues and all there. There was one the other day actually. It was loud as hell. It was mad, and but it wasn't in the direction of us, and as well I live in. There's a good few cities around me. Like Krakow has a big airport, well, not big airport. Krakow's a busy airport. Katowice's a busy airport. Ostrava isn't far away from me, but it's not a particularly busy airport. So there are planes going overhead, but like it's not an airplane. It wasn't an airplane. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't an airplane. I know that for sure. It could have been anything else, but I don't know. It's very strange. But
swamp gas.
Swamp gas. Yeah, I don't know. Could have been anything. And it's like you're kind of sitting there at home at night time just going, I wish there was an alien. I wish. Well,
you see, you say that until you talk to anyone who's actually been, visited by an alien. And they go, I wish that didn't happen. It's terrifying. It's absolutely horrendous. But
like, what if you went into a Tommie with like a full or an open mind and an open heart and just says, I love you, alien. I bring you peace
Well, I mean,
and love.
then, like, that's like saying, what happens if you go into Auschwitz in 1942 with an open heart and, love for Nazis and, it doesn't really matter what you're...
Well, I mean, if you were giving hand jobs or blow jobs to the Nazis, you probably would have gotten away with stuff. Actually, you would have,
Are we really considering blowjobs to aliens as our... as something that we want to do?
No, not really. No.
We've got into very strange territory very quickly. When I seen my UFO, it was, let me see, she's nearly 20 years ago now. I'm so old, it's ridiculous. So early 20s, and I was hanging around with a bunch of druids at the time, and I was at one of their kind of festival things, one of their rituals. So it was like something like it was solstice or some sort of thing, and towards the end of the night, and of course there was a few drinks or whatever, but there was no drugs or there was no kind of thing, and this triangle flew above us, and again, I know it's not an airplane. I've seen an airplane at night. I know what an airplane looks like, and the thing I was going, oh look, UFO, and everyone going, yeah, they just didn't care. They're going, as if like, yeah, of course, this is the type of strange thing that happens when you're doing, and I've gone, no, but like it's a UFO, yeah. I was going like, all right. That's
okay.
Okay. I'll talk about that in a podcast and be enthused in 20 years, and other people will enjoy it. But
I mean, it would have been cool to kind of follow it and see where it went, because like at one stage I thought, look, it's just something on top of one of the mountains, like it's like for example, like I remember like the first time I went skiing in the Alps, proper big mountains. Like you see the snowplows at nighttime and they're pieced in the pistes, and they're these deadly cool machines. But you see these massive lights and they're at these like mental angles on a dark mountain, so you can't see the land. You just see these lights and they're shining on, and you think, whoa, what the fuck is that? And then like your intelligent brother goes, it's the snowplows, you idiots. So, and it's possible, but the mountains here, they're bigger than Irish mountains, but like they're not particularly massive. So it was too high and then too low, and there was the strange thing that the light would go off, it would disappear, and then suddenly it would just be like way higher, and then it would be there for, I don't know, 30 seconds, maybe a minute. The light would go off again, and then it's way lower, and it's like closer to you or further away. It's just bizarre, strange.
Did you check MUFON or any online?
No, I haven't yet. No, because I didn't even know where to look. I was like, I could go to Polish Reddit, but I get slaughtered.
Yeah. No, MUFON would probably be a good place, but like, I mean,
what's it called?
MUFON. That's where you're all of the.
MUFON. Yeah. Those guys get interviewed fairly regularly. Okay, I'll save that, and I'll check.
Did you ever see on Reddit, speaking of Reddit, those things where you see an airplane and it kind of looks like it's hovering just in the air? And I've seen a couple of these videos where it's just flying up in the air, but it looks absolutely stationary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you've got, that's weird, and it's always, glitching the matrix or this kind of thing. And I thought, that's interesting, and like you always kind of go, oh, well, maybe it is a glitch in the matrix. When I went to Belfast on the train recently, and I seen it. I seen the phenomenon of the plane. Yeah, it's creepy though. Like, it is very eerie, but it's like whatever. You have to be moving at a certain angle. It has to be, but you have to be facing each other, so it doesn't make really sense because you would think you're getting closer. But whatever it is, the airplane was hovering just in the air, and it's not kind of, you see it at one angle, you go right past it, and it's just it's super. But it was kind of like, but there was kind of a part of me going, as wonderful as it is, going, yeah, because if that's true, then so much of what other people say about, things to see are probably not woo either. Kind of
like there was I don't know, a video a year or two ago about one of these high-tech American military helicopters, and they shot it at such a frame rate that it looked like the rotors weren't moving.
Yeah.
So it just lifts up, and it's like, whoa. Like
it's like that video footage of the hummingbird that's at the same shutter speed as the camera taking it. So it's just I did being that this is audio only. I did an amazing impression of a hummingbird with the same shutter speed there. It's
more like if a hummingbird had sex with a penguin.
Yeah, that's it exactly. So, not that long ago, myself and Spud were going to do, well, we're still, I suppose, it's not a defunct project, but we were going to do a documentary about weirdness in Ireland, or how weird Ireland actually is. And we did a sizzle first. Well, sizzle, which is just basically you do a kind of a small pretend version of a trailer, I suppose, is it, of what you intend to do? Yeah. Is that the actual word that people use, or is that just a...
Sizzle, yeah, sizzle reel.
Right.
Yeah. There is another one, but I don't remember. But sizzle is the one everyone says now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and it's on my Patreon if anyone's interested, but it's not general release because, number one, the first half it's made up. It's not real. But we were getting into the whole kind of thing of how, not necessarily how weird Ireland is, but how normal or how normalised we in Ireland have made the weird.
Yeah.
And then the kind of the different things that, and one of the ones, the things that I suppose is this whole idea of healing or cures and stuff like that. And we brought Spud, who was, I suppose, unprepared in a sense towards Reiki, because you didn't to someone who did Reiki, and you hadn't done anything like that before, or you knew very little about it or something.
No, the only thing I knew about was I knew what bioenergy was.
Oh yes, yeah.
So there was it was a total scam, those guys as well. There was these Bosnian, I suppose, refugees you would have called them, and after the breakup of Yugoslavia, so all the Bosnians and Croatians landed in Ireland, and obviously these lads were like, right, we need to make some money quickly. So myself and my brother were brought along. Because he had particularly bad asthma. My asthma was not too bad, but it would flare up now and again. But it's Ireland. It's a humid, wet country. Anyone with asthma, it's not good. But so I went to these lads, and they would put their hands close to you and do these weird motions and all that kind of stuff, and try and draw it out of you or whatever. And sure, nothing worked. But like every now and again, you would kind of feel like falling over, kind of thing, as if they were drawing something out of you. But I don't know. I wouldn't be gone on it. But the Reiki now, and You had pitched this that we'll go do Reiki, and I was like, okay, cool, sounds good, but I'm not going to look up anything about it, because if I do look up anything about it, then I'll be swayed to either think it's nonsense or I think it's real, or whatever. I just want to go
if you look it up, you'll definitely think it's nonsense. No question of that.
For sure. Yeah. So I said, right, I'm going into this. Just right, this is possible. Let's meet people who do it, and let's give. I'll have a treatment, and I'm glad I didn't have to take off my clothes for it, which I thought was kind of strange. I thought I would have had to be honest. Like it was a massage.
Why?
Or something.
Yeah, they put that, I suppose, in a massage type of thing. But like, did you didn't know? Did you even know like were you going to be touched, not touched? Did you feel there was going to be some sort of happy ending? What were you thinking?
I had no idea. Sure, like I mean, when we had done the interview with the lady, and I actually went to take off my shirt. She said, "No, you can leave it on."
No,
like,
you went to take off your trousers, not your shirt.
Oh, trousers, sorry.
Straight in. Trousers
she was
off.
like, "You lie on the bed." I was like, "Okay, well, I mean, I'm not going to get under a duvet with my trousers on because they're probably filthy." But I mean, who actually ever washes their jeans anyway? When's the last time you washed your jeans, Tommy?
I have a wife who washes jeans. I don't wash my jeans. I find that no, it's her choice. I'd be quite happy never to wash. I find that newly washed jeans, particularly jeans, are horrible to wear. I don't like it.
Yeah,
it's
like a guitar with new strings. It's like God, needs at least 3 weeks of playing before it sounds all right. Like
3 weeks of wearing
jeans aren't like t-shirts at all. T-shirts you need to wash, after one wear. Jeans,
no, I'd be of the same mind. Well, what's the point of underwear if you're going to wash your jeans every day?
And even your man, one of the Levi's guy there a couple of months ago, he was like, you should never wash them. Okay, big weirdo.
But then there's the whole thing now that you're saying you shouldn't wash yourself either. It's particularly with soap, like that. It's destroying, like the oil balance, and
Yeah, you're supposed to be germs and all like that.
Yeah, we've become so super clean that we've invented, superbugs. Not invented. We didn't sit around going, let's build superbugs. But we've allowed the evolution of, because particularly in hospitals. Now, I understand you can't have filthy, dirty hospitals either, but like, it's just kind of, I suppose, pointing at the fact that cleanliness, while it's probably next to godliness, God's a big fan of plagues and disease and, killing firstborn children. So,
And if everyone lived forever, he'd be out of a job.
That's it, you know.
He'd have no one to judge.
So you've first of all not into Reiki at all because you had to keep your clothes on. But so you lie down. What happens?
So what happens? Yeah. Well, we interviewed her for it anyway. An interview. I don't know how long do we interview for? About 45 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And this all got put down into like 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And so we interviewed her, and I don't know if I found her convincing or what, but
well, yeah, I think what you said after was that you were definitely convinced that she's not lying. Like she believes this, that you know, so she's authentic she's not like your Bosnian fucking energy terrorists or whatever they were, energy chancers like who you felt were just, you know, chancing the wrong.
And when someone speaks, when someone speaks to you with like, you know, affirmative belief in something, like it's hard not to be convinced by them, and you're definitely going to say, well, look, I'm still not sure if I believe it, but she definitely believes it, and if she believes it and she says it works, well then sure, who am I to say it doesn't, you know? Yeah, so I lay down then, and she said something that stuck with me. She was like, if you want to take a drink of water, take it. And for some reason I didn't, and I should have had, because when I was lying down, I did feel a bit of a constriction or so. I just wanted to cough, and she had said to me, look, if you want to cough, cough, but I was like, my throat was dry from the interview, speaking to her, stuff like that, and so that was a little mistake I made, and yeah, so the thing was about, was it half an hour or so, the treatment? So
it wasn't a full treatment, it was kind of a taster,
a best of or something, you know?
Yeah.
So for the first, say, 60% of it, 50-60% of it, I could feel. It's very difficult to explain, and it's very, very hard. I could feel myself resisting what she was doing. Probably because I couldn't see what she was doing, because I didn't have my eyes open. I thought that would have freaked her out a bit, and I think you are supposed to close your eyes anyway.
Yeah.
So, because they don't want you seeing the hand signs and all that.
Oh, that because they're super secret. They're super secret.
Yeah. Even though we recorded them and then I did look at them. But
even though they're all on the internet, on Google.
So I kept my eyes closed and I couldn't see what she was doing, but I could feel her hands like in the vicinity of wherever they were, you know?
Yeah.
And for the first while I could feel myself kind of fighting against it, and I don't know why. And then at one moment I said, shut up, man, and just chill and just let it be. And then I just felt this, I said to you, it just felt like a whoosh. It was funny as well, because during the thing that we shot, like a car drove by exactly that moment, and the car went woof. And anyway, so I felt this kind of it was kind of like, in a nice way, it was kind of like the consciousness getting knocked out of me, you know?
Right.
And I just felt like a blank, like a reset kind of thing. Like you reset your computer or something. Screen goes blank, then comes back on, except I didn't like lose consciousness or anything like that. I just kind of went whoo, and it was gone, and I was not different, but I had accepted what was going to happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And then, like a surrender almost, is it? Like a
I suppose, yeah, you could say that, yeah. And then, kind of surrendering to it, and then I just felt this fucking bliss, so just happiness of just being like, wow, this is total relaxation. Like I just felt amazing, you know. Like I didn't feel that anything was cured or like, you know, I lifted some fucking disease out of me or anything like that. But I just felt, oh wow, this is what it must be like when like non-anxious people get a massage.
Get up in the morning. Have a cup of tea.
So this is what happy people feel like. My God, this is amazing. And it felt really wonderful. And for like the rest of for the next couple of days, I was just walking around with a smile on my face, telling anyone who would listen to me, go get Reiki done. You know, and
because I remember after it, you were quite spacey, and we were just kind of sitting in the car, and we were going, yeah, you better not drive just for a while, but just sit here for a minute and just kind of chill it. And
it was class. Yeah. And actually, I said it to my cousin a few days later. I met her, and she had got it done as well, and she said she went into it not believing it, but just going to give it a go. And she said she had a pretty similar experience to me. About halfway through, she let go as well, and it just felt, oh, wow, that was nice. But she never went again, though. Like, I would totally go again, but I haven't found anyone.
If I had an experience where I got bliss for 3 days, I'd be there in the morning. But I assume if it was a vitamin tablet or something, so would you. So, what is the difference and why you haven't kind of, what is it about Reiki that has kind of, even though you had such an impact and such a thing out of it that you just, and it's months and months, and you haven't kind of looked into it.
Haven't done it since.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll let you in on a secret here. I get a massage here every Friday anyway.
Yeah, it's not a secret. Right. You've told me that. You've rubbed that in my nose numerous occasions.
But some people are weird about people getting massages. It's just a fucking massage. Like, calm down,
Yeah.
So this old man comes and he rubs
this old man comes to your house and rubs you. Yeah, not weird about that at all. Every Friday.
And I pay him. Yeah. And so I did look up. There's one lady in the town where I am who does it, and the reason I haven't gone to it is because I'm not into the therapy part of it. I don't want to talk to anyone about it. How do you feel about
That's not a part of Reiki, though. That seems to be a thing that happens, though. Like, I mean, you can certainly go in and not do that if you want.
Okay.
Like, it's not. In fact, they're not qualified to do that. I mean, and it's like, but it's people in Ireland like to talk, though. And I think that I wonder now if Reiki in other countries, if there's any talking before.
I wonder, yeah.
Outside of initial. Do you have diabetes? Have you ever had a brain hemorrhage or whatever? That your kind of medical type thing. But this kind of going in and talking. Like I went then after you for 6 weeks, and there was certainly as much talking as there was lying there doing nothing.
Right.
And she kind of allows for that, like in her time and stuff. So it's something that she herself does.
Yeah.
But I definitely wouldn't think it's the norm.
Okay.
And I would even suggest it probably shouldn't be done.
I should look into it again then, because I know my wife is convinced to give it a try as well, because I had such a great experience of it. But it'd be awful to go and like I remember she said during the interview that like her hands will feel where something is wrong,
Yeah.
And and I'd hate to go and then the hands were over my lungs for like 20 minutes, and then she came out and like, fuck, I've lung cancer.
Yeah, because that's your anxiety talking there.
That'd be absolutely horrific, wouldn't it? Or like,
if you go to a Reiki session and spend 20 minutes over your lungs and then come out and tell you have cancer, run away. Run away.
Oh no, but even if it's like, she just got, I'll see you next week.
You have cancer, so what I recommend is 6 weeks of Reiki.
I'd be horrified. I think there's something in Irish people about being hypochondriacal. What's the adjective there?
They're hypochondriacs.
Hypochondriacs, yeah, hypochondriacal or whatever. Hippopotami. I think there is people in Ireland that definitely are like any sign of any bit of sickness at all. Like, I have AIDS and cancer. And they have molded together.
Absolutely one of them. But I also have the kind of joint thing of I'm a man, so I won't get it checked. So I'm not a proper hypochondriac, because the hypochondriac goes to the doctor all the time. And all that. I'm a, I don't know, I'm a worrier. I think it's more the thing. So like everything is cancer. Even when you go to Google and go, I've just, I've stubbed my toe. When you eventually go to Google and it tells you, you have toe cancer, because that's what Google does. I had recently I had a pain in my side. It was from holding the kid, like it just absolutely is. And I went to Google, and even Google told me it wasn't cancer. I was still no cancer. But it's like it is such an Irish. But also you couple that with the Irish thing of you're not allowed to talk about cancer. You're like, see, like in certain company you can't even mention the word. It's the big C, it's this kind of, which has come back to the kind of weirdness, I suppose, that we normalise in Ireland, that we feel that if you mention the word, it's bringing it on, you're kind of attracting it.
Or something, yeah. And that's not like over the last couple of weeks, I've been looking into a lot of the law of attraction stuff, Transurfing, and Neville Goddard's another one. Neville Goddard has such a great voice, man. Joseph Campbell as well. Joseph Campbell has this kind of similar kind of accent as well. This Southern American, Southern state kind of relaxing kind of. I'm going to tell you how. No, I can't do it. But anyway, it's lovely. But yeah, that's not how it works. I hope not. Anyway, you don't want to manifest bad things. That'd be awful.
But I mean, there is still like, and you see, even hardened atheists, skeptics will still touch wood after saying something. But I think that's more that it's not necessarily that they're afraid that they're going to bring it up, but it's that they want to get, it's that jinx element. Don't jinx this.
Well, I might give myself good luck, so I may as well do it,
Yeah, but that's it. You never ever think of it as good luck. You never go, oh, £1 million. Oh, don't say it or you'll get it. It's only bad luck. It's only bad luck. But I'll tell you, there's like, anecdotally seems to be something to it, because I'll give you a good example. But 2 weeks ago, I was I was just standing, making coffee or something in the kitchen. I almost forgot the word kitchen there for some reason. And I was just thinking, for some reason, I had to go out to the bin, and I was going, oh, you know what? It's because the bins used to be the other side of the
village.
Other side of it. No, there used to be like at the front, and you had to go, not big deal, but you had to go out, and if it was raining, you'd get wet, this type of thing. But we then had them at the back, kind of side door. I was going, I just had to go out and go, oh, it's great that the bins are there now, and you're not, it's raining, and I'm not going to get wet, and all that kind of thing. Half an hour later, I didn't say that out loud, just in my head. Half an hour later, my wife moved the bins to away. I was going, oh, I'm saying fucking nothing. That's it. I just kind of go, right, who was listening and why would they do that? As if there's some sort of spirit just waiting to antagonize you and kind of go, all right. Oh, you think? Don't be happy. Don't be happy. I'm gonna move that.
Where do the law of attraction people stand on stuff like this?
No, the law of attraction would 100% say that I did that to myself, that I completely created that. Because of either the callers that you're not allowing things, or that it's the kind of reverse. It depends on who. There's kind of two different things of law of attraction. One of them is that you have to think about it constantly, good things all the time. Another is you kind of send out, this more cosmic ordering, is you send out the idea and then you forget about it. And if you think about it, it won't happen. So they would say that I was a vibration, a lack, or that I didn't deserve in some way the happiness or the gratitude. But then they also say in the next chapter, that you should have, be grateful for things. So I was grateful for things that was taken away from me. But I think what's going on there is my Catholic guilt kicked in, and my law of attraction is kind of is a Catholic. And so if you in any way are happy about things or feel good about yourself, then obviously that has to be taken away, because God loves suffering. And he loves, but there is a thing in Ireland, and it was
always the happy altar boys that was molested.
Oh man! But there is this kind of insidious undercurrent. It's not good. Like some of the weird Ireland and the normalization's good, and I like it, and it's quaint, and it's it harms no one and all this. But there's this kind of one of this Catholic thing of suffering as purity, as a kind of a way to cleanse yourself, or that it's. That you're here in a sense to suffer. That's your function in life.
Opus Dei and
not even
Legion of Mary and all that kind of stuff.
Well, the Legion of Mary certainly and stuff, but like your bog standard kind of when we were growing up. I remember not even like it was kind of put us into schools, but I remember years ago for some reason, whatever, I ended up at a Padre Pio mass in in the church in Dundalk, and Padre Pio was a huge saint in Ireland. There's a great book that people should read. That he was probably a bit of a boyo, bit of a chancer. Tended to buy stuff that would cause stigmata on your hands in the local chemist. Just did, but he needed it for something else, obviously.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, but anyway, it was at this math. But the priest got up. They got some guy over from Italy or some big Padre Pio dude, whatever. He was like important thing, and he had a bit of Padre Pio with him in a glass that you could touch, and one of these relic things. I didn't touch it. Why not? You're there. Let's have a go. But his entire 20-minute sermon was about how much suffering is good, and that you're here to suffer, and that it's right to suffer, and God loves you to suffer, and that to in any way feel good about yourself is like the epitome of being a bad person, and and like that's horrible. I mean that's like so like that's. I understand that. When a church or when there's some sort of religion where they're trying to appeal to poor people or the disadvantaged and stuff like that, and they'll go, well, life's a bit shit, God loves you, and it'll be all, your reward will be good in heaven. And I go, right, that's fairly disingenuous, but I can understand it. I can see, and that, like, that you should give bread and, all this kind of thing because they're talking to poor people, get all that. But it's when you're saying that what they're suffering is kind of, that's a good thing. That's, I don't know. That seems nasty. And that's,
like, what do they want? Like, I mean, some poor Sudanese lady has just buried her 5th child and she should be whooping for joy because, like, woohoo, God loves me.
Yeah, or God has chosen him special to bring him back, back to heaven. And then you hear kind of stuff. Did you ever read Christopher Hitchens' book about Saint Teresa?
No, I've never read any of his books.
Yeah, well, it's a short kind of, now it would be, I suppose, to be called a Kindle single, I suppose. I think it's about 50 pages, or there was an essay and then he wrote it. But anyway, by all accounts, she was a nasty piece of work.
Yeah, she was meant to be a thundering gay bag.
Yeah, like, big into, because we had this kind of thing at St. Teresa was that she helped the poor. She didn't.
No, she turned loads of them away.
And not even that, but she felt that the poor suffering was good for them and allowed it and encouraged it, and kind of her practices were based on this kind of thing, that it was like as if you were kind of doing a kind of purgatory, I suppose, now that you're cleansing your soul by suffering. But I think the reason why that annoys me, apart from feeling for humanity and all that, and apart from it, the kind of knock-on effect that has in society, particularly now that you become, I suppose, a bit downtrodden, and then you kind of allow people in positions of power to have more power than they probably should, and all that kind of stuff. But there's also, I have it in me, and I'm not even a Catholic, anyway, like, because it was bred into me, that I do have this kind of thing that there's a kind of, if I don't get something I want, or it'll be, that's, that was better for me, or that if it didn't work out, and I go, catch myself going, what are you on about? Like, there's absolutely nothing. But there's also then a fear of not going for things you want, or not, because who are you to do that? That's kind of against, in a sense, this some sort of spiritual law that you should have, that you should suffer and that you shouldn't get what you want, that it's better not to get it. It's more holy to not get what you want. In the sense of, you hear about Padre Pio and stuff, or any of the saints, and the amount of suffering they went through, and, the Padre Pio used to be visited by the devil and tormented, and this was great. Look how great a man he was because of this. And I go, geez, all of that's in my brain, man, And then I wonder why some days I wake up and go, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? Like, not only is the world not out to help you in any kind of way, it doesn't care about you. Not that it doesn't care. It's, that's not even a thing. Your own brain doesn't particularly want you to do well. Like, it's trying to.
Yeah, the brain's a horrible thing when it gets. How to put this into words now? The brain, I think the brain doesn't really like change, and once you kind of once you get into a way of thinking, it's very, very hard to break that. And even especially when it's kind of a, like what you're talking about there, that's almost an unconscious thought, because you've picked that up somewhere, you don't know where, and it has stuck with you. It's very, very difficult to break that, It is,
because it's like a background kind of hum that informs all your decisions.
And plus, like, there's also the thing that, like, Carl Jung comes up a lot on this, but, like, I think he was the first to bring up this idea that like your parents or your grandparents or the trauma of your ancestors carries on into you, Yeah. And, like, so there's all that then to carry, like the crap that your parents went through, and grandparents and great grandparents, and before that, you have to carry that as well. It's like, come on.
Well, the original sin, isn't it? Like, that's kind of could be before they kind of made it again into you're horrible people. But it's this kind of not even your own ancestors, but like the collective unconscious would suggest that it's the entirety of humanity that you have in some way. Oh man, I mean, I can't even deal with my own shit. You know what I mean? Never mind having the burden of people I haven't
Society.
even met.
But I like to kind of counter that. What I've been doing or learning lately is that, like, and this, I got in touch with you months ago, and I was like, I'm going to kill myself. Like, or I felt like killing myself one morning.
Yeah.
It was awful, but it was sleep deprivation is what I came from, because the kids were just they were having a bad time, sickness, and anyway, that's all it was. And it's just like, I've had to train myself and keep telling myself that, like, your thoughts are just your thoughts. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have to own you. They don't have to. And it can be as fleeting as, you know, seeing a bus drive by with a Mars bar advertised on it. Like, if you think of a thought as just something that is a byproduct of something else, then you can let go of them. You know, it's kind of like, okay, if you're in a situation that makes you angry, and it happens, like, no one is totally so blissed out that they never get angry about it.
Sure.
Like, some dickhead pulled out in front of me in the car. He jumped over 2 lanes. Some old granddad pulled over 2 lanes of him in his piece of shit fucking Skoda, whatever the fuck it was. I was like, you fucking moron, what are you doing? Like, trying to kill me and the kids. And I just like, hey, you know, calm down. I'm like, oh, but fuck this shit. But then it's like, once you let go of it, then you say, right, yeah, that was, I shouldn't have got angry with it, but I did, and, you know, try and learn from it, whatever. But I think that, what's the point I'm trying to make? Is that...
Well, I tell you, the point you're trying to make is the point that the Buddhists make, in that...
you are not your thoughts, yeah?
Your thoughts are the same as your hearing, as your smell, as your taste. Yeah. They're another thing that you use to interact or sense. They're a sense rather than a thing. So while your thoughts are there, they're not you.
Yeah.
And that I've really got into that recently, but I think
it's hard though. It's very hard.
Well, it is very hard because number one, you start realizing how much habits you have and how much you're just doing stimulus response. Mm-hmm. You know, someone says something, this is how you respond. It's like that thing you're saying about, like, your brain doesn't like change. It has, you know, it's the neuron thing, and the road is there. That's just what it does.
Yeah.
It's like when you're in the middle of having an argument with someone, and then you realize, I don't give a shit about this. Why am I arguing? But you can't stop. You know, you have to finish. But then I started seeing that in everything, and it was the thing I was talking about, kind of in a sense, in one of my videos, where I was saying that, you know, I've taken personality traits and all this kind of stuff, but even responses and stuff are all kind of, in a sense, kind of rehearsed, or they're just kind of unwrote, or this kind of thing. And then when you start seeing it, you kind of go, well, who am I? You know what I mean? And this is kind of my reason why I don't think reincarnation is a thing, or at least in the way we commonly have the time of reincarnation. Because what is the thing that's going to be reincarnated? Because it's certainly not the characteristics I got from my dad. It's certainly not the opinions I've picked up, or the background home of the, you know, the guilt thing of Catholicism. It's not my anger when that dickhead in the Skoda cuts 2 lanes and tries to kill my kids in the car. What is the thing? And the only thing that kind of is there is this awareness behind it. And if it's just awareness, then what, you know, you aren't reincarnated in any kind of a way. You know, it's kind of a global, you say consciousness reincarnates. But then it's not a reincarnation. It's just a new consciousness coming into a kind of a thing. So I kind of assume if there is something that when you die, all of this crap falls away. You know, that all of the things that, like, that you have in your head about, you know, your different ideas, who you thought you were, you know, like your racism, your sexism, all that, whatever it is that you have in, you know, and all the things you weren't wearing, it all disappears, and you just kind of left with, I don't know, what are you left? It's some sort of conscious. if we agree that, or if we pretend, whatever you want, that there is some sort of universal consciousness thing that you just, you know, the focus is lost on you, and it just goes back to the bigger consciousness. So it's not then going to re-come back in as the same person ever. And it would be kind of, if we're here to learn, say, about something, it would seem a bit stupid that we'd all learn the same kind of things. You know, it would want, you know, that I would have to learn the same lesson that you would learn. If I'm one big consciousness, would it not make more sense that you learn it, and then he learns something else, and we'll join up at the end, and we'll have learned all the things. You know what I mean?
Sure, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, but, like, I mean, yeah, it's the whole, like, one consciousness thing. I mean, I like the idea of it, but I don't like the idea that I've had sex with myself. You know?
Oh, don't you?
Look at me, Tommie. You know, no.
you mean the one conscious in the thing, like, Andy Weir's the egg thing? That's the
we're all one, and we all just kind of live. Time isn't a thing. We're all just experiencing the same thing at different times, or whatever, different times, different same thing, whatever. And that means that I've done disgusting things with myself. You know, far more than what I can do with myself normally.
I kind of like, but that doesn't mean it's true. But just because you like the idea, I like the idea of living the same life if you had over and over again until you get it right, like the Groundhog life.
Yeah.
You know, and that's more reality kind of transurfing stuff. Is that, you know, there's
problem with that,
infinite...
Tommie, is that like.
Oh well, I'm sure it's not true for starters.
Well, I mean, my issue with that would be then that, like, well, then I would have to go back to when I was 11, 12. That's when everything was going okay, and then like the teenage years were just a waste. So that's where I'd have to go back to. And so that means that I'm going to live to be, what, 80, 90, say, if I'm lucky. So that means I get to restart, and I have to do the next 40 years plus a couple more, and then I get reincarnated, and I have to live through another 11. So that's 50. I have to go 50-something years again before I can get it right. It's like, oh, God, really? Ugh.
Well, no, because I think the idea isn't that... It's not like Groundhog Day where you start life, end life, and start again. It's that all of these things happen at once.
Oh, okay.
So that person at 11 who became you is this thing,
Yeah.
that thing, but it's all happened. It's all now. And like including what happened to you in 20 years, that's already happened in a sense. Because it's outside of time, all of that kind of thing. So I don't think it's quite the... It's it could be kind of like seeing it as an infinite kind of maze, like a rat maze, and there's a ball bearing going through it, finding the route out. And that, you know, that's the puzzle, because we talked before, but it feels like a puzzle. You know, it feels like when I get... And sometimes you get bits of the puzzle and it opens up. So that's kind of the way I see that. You're in and out of realities, solving this puzzle until you get... And it might, like, we've no idea what the perfect Spud his life should be. Perhaps you're doing it. Like, I don't think it means that by 4 you realize you're the Messiah and you heal the entire world. I don't think that's it. You know, I don't think that everyone is lives are aimed to be, you know, huge world events or huge, you know, doing things. Like, it could be, I don't know, you could be here just, you know, for your kid to turn into something, or not, or you're, you know, 20 kids down. Who knows? Like, you know, who are we to know what a perfect life is? And perhaps having a kind of all the mistakes is the perfect life. Like, you know,
I don't know. It's mad. And then, like, you kind of think that, like, okay, so if there is something at the end of it, like, what you're just gonna feel is, oh, okay, so I did it, and now, you know, game complete, and you just watch the credits, and then what the fuck do you do? Like, you just start again just for shits and giggles, like nobody plays Grand Theft Auto 5 a second time. You know?
No, yeah.
Like,
well, then you go into the multiplayer online.
Okay.
You get the mods.
No, I don't know. Like, I mean, like the idea of like Christian heaven sounds horrific.
Oh, horrific!
You know,
Absolutely
so
horrific.
boring.
Yeah.
Hell is way worse, but you know, I don't want pitchforks in my arse. I'd rather be bored. Okay, but it sounds boring. You know?
Or the Jehovah's Witnesses that, you know, whatever it is. There's only so many. 144,000. Something like that.
Yeah.
Getting into heaven. That's been reserved. Those names are known, and the rest get to spend eternity on earth. Oh my God.
Maybe that's what we are.
And not even eternity on earth having crack. It's eternity on earth under God's rule, and he's not a nice person. So I mean, that's not going to be any fun.
What happens to animals in reincarnation?
Oh, see, it depends on who you ask, but there's an evolution. You start off in the mineral kingdom. So you start as a plant, basic, and then you move to the animal kingdom. And then they reckon, some people, that domesticated animals are the lives before humans. So they're getting to know the human world, getting to understand it, becoming more personalized, having independent personality outside of the pack, outside of groupthink, outside, like, so your dog at home has its own thing, whereas if it was out, it would just be dog, part of dog. And so then they become, and then people say that the first human lives are kind of lives where people don't have to do too much. So I mean, it could be, it used to be in a very un-PC way where they'd say like people with Down syndrome or people, you know, with sort of mental challenges, where be people's first lives, because to be around people who would care for them and all that. That sounds a bit horrifying. I don't know. And then eventually you move along until you become whatever we become, the perfected person or whatever thing. But then you have people like the Hare Krishnas who would say that you can go backwards. So if you eat too much meat, you will become a pig, you know, or if you're greedy, you will become, you know, I don't know, what's a greedy animal? A pig?
James Corden.
So I mean, there's all of this kind of thing, and it's kind of then the whole thing is that it's the cycle of birth or death and rebirth. So it's a trap, and the whole it's that you keep going until you get out of it, and then I don't know what happens after that. You go on to, it's usually some sort of vague thing of you go on to further planes of existence and learning and stuff like that. But my whole thing with all of it is that with any sort of kind of, I suppose, cosmology or reason for the thing is, but why? It never satisfied that like, but why? Other than there's kind of a vague kind of notion of saying, well, maybe it's the creation of a god. So this is we're in the reproductive cycle of a thing. And I go, right, I can understand that, but you know what I mean? Like at the same time, but any of this kind of, you're learning. Yeah, but why? If I'm God, if we're one consciousness and I already know all this, why am I relearning it? And they say, it's a game of hide and seek because God's bored. Yeah, is it? That sounds hugely ungodlike to be bored, or to think. So I don't know. The why is something I've never been satisfied by.
Yeah.
I've asked people who know more than me, and they just say it's the wrong question, which is a cop-out.
Wrong question. What the fuck does it say is a wrong question?
It means they don't have a satisfying
what
answer.
Does blue smell like? Okay, that's a wrong question. Unless you have synesthesia.
Yeah, and then you can't describe it to me. So yeah, it smells of wet dog. Oh, okay, right, fine.
I don't know. How did we get onto this? What were we talking about?
Reiki.
Weird Ireland. Yeah, Reiki. Yeah. I still want to interview that fella, the seventh son of the seventh son. He's out in Roscommon or Sligo. I reckon I would like to interview him. I don't know, Tommie. I mean, I don't know what to do with it next. Like I think it has legs, but I don't know. I just don't know what to do. With Weird Ireland.
I think the only kind of thing would be just to do it ourselves at some point.
Yeah.
Rather than try, but that's me. I'm all in for DIY anyway. It's like I don't like being subservient, I suppose, to...
Yeah. Well, I'm the same. I would rather do it my own way.
But because, the other people have money that's to do these things. That's the
problem.
That's the other side.
No, that is the big problem with it, Because the ghost hunting thing was kind of the sellout, because the first part of it was we went to we made up a story and went to an abandoned house and said we were looking for ghosts. And we were looking for ghosts, even though the story around it wasn't real. But like, that was fun. And
what was really interesting was that was probably the best experience. The responses we were getting from, it was the Necrophonic app that I've used on the channel, was amazing. And it's kind of said, well, we've made this up and it's much better. What does that say about the universe? But it was like immediately we put it on and you said something like, say hello to me. And it said hello instantly, and it's like, Tim was going, of course we don't have that filmed, because we were just testing it without. But it kind of played along with the story as well, so that would kind of suggest to me that there's our own consciousness is affecting these things in some way. Or it's that thing of that you're looking, the pareidolia, that you're looking at patterns, you're hearing all these things.
But sure, I think it can be both, like, yeah, I think so. I think there's definitely, I've definitely come to that way of thinking that by putting your thoughts out there, it changes the kind of physical world, I suppose. Even though it is the physical thing, but yeah, I don't know. I think this law of attraction thing is fucking fascinating, to be honest. Like, even like, I was watching the lecture on it today. A woman was talking about the quantum physics of it, even though I think she was getting it mixed up with kind of metaphysics.
Yeah.
To be honest,
I find that as soon as to start any of those new agers start talking about quantum physics, I go, all right.
Well, the thing about her, she wasn't. Well, then she wasn't. Anytime I think of a new ager, I think of that girl with the dreadlocks. That meme, They have that bias against eco warriors. They all have dreadlocks and they all wear sandals or whatever. But this was a lady in a suit thing.
Oh, legit then.
Yeah. She looked like a legit lady rather than a fucking hippie. They're awful, innit? What's wrong with me?
Probably experience.
Judging people by what they wear, but like, I've just kind of come around to it, and you can see it. But I know I've seen it over the last couple of years, is that if you are, if you're positive and more open to stuff, like, better things happen.
Yeah.
Far better than just being like, that shit, You're going to get any. It's so ridiculous. Like, it's such an easy lesson. Like, but it's one that's very fucking difficult to learn and difficult to kind of master or whatever. Not to master it, but it's like, if you're negative about something, it's going to be negative. Of course it is, if you think about it. But you still fall into the trap of being like, oh, I don't want to go there. It's going to be crap. But just be like, you know what? Fuck it. All right, we'll go. But at least I'm going with people I like. So we'll make the best of it, you know?
I think I'm rereading the reality transurfing book again, or the 5 books in one, all that thing. And I thought, so every time I read it, I go, oh, this is like, this makes so much sense. Because usually when I read a book, I'm going, oh, this is good, and then there'll be some fucking weird thing in the middle where you go, oh, for Christ's sake. You know, like it's really, oh, this is really good. I could really get into this. And then it's like, oh, but of course we know that the Jews rule the world or something. And you just go, oh, stop. Will you stop? Come on. Or, the first 3 paragraphs of every David Icke book is amazing. And then, it kind of devolves into ludicrousness. But, this one doesn't really, there's no part of it that, like, it's very woo, obviously. But there's no part of it where it goes massively off the rails to me. And an awful lot of the things that I have about, say, law of attraction and stuff like that, there's a response to it or there's an answer to it. So it might necessarily satisfy everyone. But I'm delighted that at least it's, pointed at or whatever. Whereas, like, say, with things with The Secret or Abraham Hicks or any of these kind of very law of attraction things, it seems quite oversimplified in that, if you think about a new car, if you think about driving your new car, you get a new car. I don't think that's it. I think you certainly are not going to get a new car unless you originally have the thought of a new car and those type of things. But I think there's more to it. But it's like, but I'm also not that interested in the law of attraction in a sense to get the stuff. I'm not into reality transurfing to get more stuff. I have enough fucking stuff. I'm more into it. I want to have a better experience. I want to be a better person. I want to, feel happy, or I want to that stuff rather than I'm not that concerned with getting a new car.
Yeah. No, I get you. And see, the woman was in the thing I was watching. She was like, "Close your eyes." She did a little experiment. She, close your eyes and take a breath and think about what you really want in life, And she paused for 5 seconds and then started on again. And I was like, whoa, that's 5 seconds. That's not long enough. No. I have no fucking idea. Because I'm like, well, okay, I'd like to be, a really good writer. I'd like to be a good carpenter. And this is going through my head. I'd like to win a load of money. Yeah, all these things are going through my head. And no. But like, if you boil it down to like what you actually really want, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Happiness, peace,
the happiness, contentment.
But then it's like, then it's a selfish thing. You're like, no, I don't want that. I want a good life for the kids. That's what I should be thinking, right? But then maybe that's the Catholic guilt coming in and saying, no, don't think of yourself. But so I don't know. It's like, but I think the kind of law of attraction. Well, this is my interpretation, is that you should only concentrate on the things that are the most important to you. Like, fucking hell, like, yeah, I want a new car. I want a new BMW. Okay, go for it. But like, if it breaks down, do you have any idea of the costs involved of fucking buying repair pieces for a BMW? My first car. I was looking at an Audi A4s. I wanted like an old one, like 6-8 years, and I was looking up like parts, and I was like, holy shit! No, I don't. I want an Audi A4, but I don't want it that badly. Like there was this thing called a flywheel, which is part of a gearbox. And like a new one, if it went, was like €2,000. Like that's worth more than the fucking car's worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I'm alright. I'll buy a Ford. I'm grand.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There was a thing when I was learning to drive, and the instructor, he was I really disliked him, but he obviously taught me how to drive. But one thing he says, that whenever you're driving, you should always look at where you want to go, because that's where your hands, that's where the whole thing. And I was kind of remember thinking at the time, that's a great description of the law of attraction. Just look at the thing you want to go towards. Like have your focus of. I find vision boards immensely helpful and thing, but I do most of them virtually, like a Pinterest now, where I'll from working on something, I gather a load of pictures together to kind of represent that or give me the feel of it or make me understand it or hatch it out and stuff like that. So that's kind of looking at the pointing your eyes at the place you want to go and stuff like that. And I think. Yeah. That rather than the whole idea of like in the Abraham Hicks thing, have you come across Abraham Hicks? It's this channeled kind of law of attraction stuff, hugely popular. But it's hugely popular, I think, because they are big into no action is needed. that it's really sit on the couch, think of the car, and the car will arrive.
Right.
And like, as kind of, not to negate people's hopes and dreams and things, I don't think that's happening, you know, and I think that you're setting yourself up for, and maybe that's my limited thinking. Maybe that's me and my fault, and that if I, you know, truly believed in the wonders of the universe, I could sit on my couch and have a car. But I think there's the action part of it is kind of an essential
like
part
you're not gonna win an Oscar unless you fucking write the script. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it. You know, like
you can't just sit there and think I'm going to be the next Martin Scorsese. Well, okay, but you're going to need to buy a camera at least.
you know, sitting there thinking I'll get a new job, and then, you know, did you send in your CV to anyone?
No. Well, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and things aren't, and the law of attraction's not working for you, isn't it? No, that's peculiar. Works for me, but you know.
I like the way that, like, the way Neville Goddard talks about, and the way that the reality transurfing people, like, they have a podcast channel or YouTube channel, the way they talk about it is that just kind of, yeah, it's the vision board type of thing. Just see how you are when you have the thing you wanted. So, you know, what do you look like driving your BMW, for example?
Yeah.
You know, or how do you feel?
When
you're driving it? Because that makes you ask the question then, well, is this really what I want? Like, you know, because I mean, God, I love BMWs, but I mean, it doesn't bother me that I don't have one. You know, like, I'd rather, like, even with the film stuff, like you know, you started and you go, oh, geez, I'd love to win an Oscar, I'd love to win an award, but now I'm like, nah, I just want to make some cool films that, like, people will say, oh yeah, that was pretty good, man. I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to be fucking A1. A1 would be amazing. But, like, I mean, to make something cool with your mates and for other people around the world to see it and say, you know what, that was cool and that inspired me to go make something. Sure, that's
I'm
great.
even less ambitious than that, I suppose. All I want is to be sustainable, in that I can make this thing, and that then allows me to make the next thing.
Yeah. See, I'm not even like that, because
I don't even care if people like it.
I'm not like that anymore now, because I kind of have this kind of second life, as like this side of me that kind of, you know best, the creator, is the second life, because the other side of me is the professional that writes about fucking sports betting. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with anything like this. But that sustains my other kind of interests or whatever. So I work half a week, work my arse off at that, and then the rest of the time I can just kind of follow these other kind of pursuits, you know, which is like, I'm so lucky. Like, I'm so fucking lucky, you know, to have what I have. Like, thank you, Neville Goddard, Transurfer, Vadar, what's the name? Vadam Zealand.
Yeah.
But, you know, law of attraction. I have no idea, like, how I fell into shit and came out smelling the roses. You know, last year was pretty shitty because I needed to get my act together, but I did get my act together. Now everything's all right, like, you know. But yeah, definitely. But you have to keep aiming, though. Otherwise, you stagnate and you get bored and you get annoyed yourself, and then you get into the repetitive bad way of thinking or whatever. And, like,
I think one of the frustrations in creativity, is the thing we've touched on before, is that the feeling that you know, you deserve, or the universe owes you. And that's a huge thing in the law of attraction, which I think you get out of. You're owed nothing, absolutely nothing, you know. Yeah. But it's not because, I would stress that with people, not because, you know, any kind of judgment or whatever, it's because that only leads to pain. That is only going to lead to frustration if you think just by showing up that you get your thing, you know. And that's kind of actors and famous people, you know, like Will Smith, go, you know, the universe will get behind you, whatever. It probably won't, you know, but that's okay, you know, that's fine. That's, you know, that's not to take away from any of this thing. It's like, if that's what you're expecting, you're going to get frustrated because you still have to do the work. It's like when people talk about, you know, weightlifters and they're on steroids and they think to inject them and the next day they wake up and they're Arnie. No, they have to go and do the work. You know, it just allows them to recover quicker. So if you think of law of attraction like steroids, go and do the work. You still have to write the book. You still have to, you know, you still have to do the hustle. You still have to do the thing. But it'll be much easier. And I think that's kind of what it's pointing at. It'll be much easier because your experience will be much easier.
You have the mindset.
The mindset and stuff. You know? And when you have that, stuff happens. Like, you do meet people that you go, geez, that's exactly the person I meant to meet. And I'm not saying it's all rational or whatever. I do definitely. Obviously, I believe in magic. So, I mean, I don't think I don't, I think woo is a factor in the universe, so I'm not dismissing
of course.
all.
I mean, like the whole reason me and you did the whole Weird Ireland thing, because like we were just having these mad synchronicities going off, like,
Proper ones, not like Helio.
like just, but like these just weird things. Like I'd write something to you, and you were like, "Oh yeah, I did that like 10 years ago," or "I did that. Oh, I'm reading that right now," or you'd say something to me, and like, "Holy shit, man! I was just at a shop buying the exact same thing," or
One
whatever,
of the ones was when I started doing randonauts and I told you I landed at a tractor and you were literally beside a tractor or something like that. It was like so weird. Like, oh my God, oh, Christ's sake.
No, it's mad that we were having all these weird things that were in common, and it was just like, all right, so obviously the universe is telling us to work together. So yeah, let's do something. And I think this time when we were at home in Ireland, we didn't do a Weird Ireland thing, but it's all right. Like other stuff will happen, and we're doing this now.
That's it. Yeah.
And next time I would like to do more kind of filmy stuff, all right, but we will. Like, I mean, we're not getting any younger, but so what? There's still loads of time. It's grand.
I mean, like the oldest member of my family is she's in her 90s, and she's like, as old women are, never going to die, fucking bastion of strength and all these things. So that means I'm not even halfway through my life. And then one part of me's going, oh, for Christ, oh, Jesus Christ. But another half's going like, all the things I've done and I was able to do, and I'm 42. Imagine you've even got another 20. There's a lot to be done, a lot you could be doing. Although,
exactly, man.
It all depends on, when World War III starts.
But there's none of that over here at all. This is a total, I've been watching this because I think my propaganda eye is very good now at the minute. And just from going through like the different Reddits and stuff like that and social media that I'm on and pretend I'm not on, that like Ireland and the America thinks World War III is about to start. Poland doesn't give a bollocks.
Yeah.
Germany doesn't give a shite. France doesn't really care either. So World War III isn't going to happen. We're grand. I mean, like, when was the last time someone important was shot that led to a war? Okay, World War One.
Franz Ferdinand, yeah. That's it. It's 100 years ago. Like, it's like, but I think that things were a bit more, well, maybe not. I was going to say things were a bit more complicated now. I don't know. I try my best not to pay any attention to it, and I have so much blocked off the internet and all that. But Reddit, you can't block stuff unless you completely block subreddits, and I don't want to do that because, like, even news, there's some things that can be. But the stuff filters through, but you just have to keep your sense of cohesiveness, I suppose, and not be, especially after looking at the Edward Bernays stuff and go, there's definitely a narrative being pushed here, you know. And
then we're too old to be conscripted anyway. And even if we were, what would they make us do? Like, I'd be in the propaganda department. Yeah, okay, I can do that. Whatever. Yeah.
Can you get out in that field and run and jump over that thing? Jesus, no.
No, I can't do that.
No.
Just put a bullet in my head now. It's like, no, I wouldn't run after a bus. Kill that man.
Yeah.
No. He's all right.
Yeah.
His name's Syed. He's cool.
He's cool.
Shut up. Yeah, Tommy.
So I like the idea. Did you ever see Alan Davies' panel thing where they're just sitting around
QI?
No. They're sitting around a table and it's just famous people and they talk about stuff.
And
at the very end, they decide what the topic of it was about. So I think it kind of could be a bit like this because we started at Weird Ireland, but I don't think we talked enough about it to call the podcast Weird Ireland.
No, we didn't, did we?
And you couldn't. Well, I suppose you could call it Talk Reiki, but we kind of veered off those UFOs. I don't know what is this episode called?
Law of Reiki. Law of Reiki attraction. Law of weird Reiki attraction.
Yeah, that's too long for a podcast. I'll have to come up with something, but it's like it's hard to come up with the titles because especially when it's so disparate in the conversation that we have, because like you kind of go, well, if I say Reiki, then you kind of go, well, you know, UFO people are going to miss out on that class conversation we had at the beginning. Just Tommie and Spud talk shite. I just got volume 3, episode 4 of the thing. Right, well that's an hour and something, so I think that's enough kind of for now. Did you come up with an exciting ending call or kind of trademark kind of ending that or anything yet?
Goodbye, good people of the internet. I heard that somewhere before though.
It feels very familiar, very familiar. Good luck! Right.
Don't kill it.
Yeah. Until now, I hope, start stop starting wars. Love each other. Chill out. Everyone just chill out. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, I want to give people homework for next week. You know, have a good sit down and actually think about what you want in life, and stop wasting your time on fucking Reddit or Twitter. You know, take a step towards what you want, what you actually want. Because I mean, for me, even though I don't think I've really sorted it out, have it answered. I kind of know vaguely what I'm aiming towards, but like, it's a huge weight off your shoulders to be like, okay, I don't need to do this anymore. Rip it up and just start again and be like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just like, I know, it's kind of like, you know, not that you age, but you grow up and you're like, okay, now this is what people with goals do be talking about. Gary Vee and all that bullshit, you know. Yeah. So this is what it's like to have a purpose. Interesting.
And it's okay to change your mind about it at a later date.
God, yeah. Oh yeah, you should definitely change your mind. You
constantly reinvent yourself. And have fun. Have fun doing things. I have fun doing these podcasts.
Yeah, they're good crack.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Tommie.
Yeah. Bye.